the public through an audio recording which will be used to ensure an accurate record of proceedings produced in the minutes of the meeting. All comments made in open session will be recorded. PAC TV is providing this service live on Comcast Xfinity Government Access Channel 9. Those without cable, visit YouTube for live streaming. Okay, so first on our agenda is a reorganization of the planning board. And I will accept a motion that the planning board, or I'm looking for a motion, that the planning board reorganize and consider nominations for the following position: chair, vice chair, clerk, and take any action on the following: meeting nights and signature of plans. Do I have a motion?
I make that.
So moved?
So moved, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll start with the chair. So nominations, I'll open the nominations for chair if I get a motion. So I need a motion to open the nominations for chair.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so nominations for chair are now being accepted.
Would you like to be chair again? Or no?
I'll do it again, or you can let someone else step up. I'm fine either way. So someone make a nomination.
I nominate Andy Wendell.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for chair? Okay, so I'll accept a motion to close the nominations for chair.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we need a vote for chair. So for Andy Wendell for chair,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's nice to know. There's no opposition. I like that. All right, now I'll entertain a motion for nominations for vice chair be opened.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, nominations for vice chair are now being accepted.
Are you vice chair right now?
Yes. Sure.
Do you want to stay vice chair?
I don't care. Yeah, sure. I'll stay vice chair.
Okay. Any other, Alicia Siciliano Perry is being nominated for vice chair. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. I'll ask for a motion to close the nominations for vice chair.
Make a motion to close the nominations for vice chair.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Now we'll vote. All those in favor of Alicia Siciliano Perry for vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No. All right, so we got vice chair out of the way. Now we go to clerk. So,
Open the nominations for clerk.
okay, do I have a second to that motion, please?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're taking nominations for clerk. Who's the clerk now? Scott. All right, I'll nominate Scott.
like
No,
me?
I don't want
Oh,
to. No,
okay.
I just was glad you were
I
here.
second it. Sorry.
Be careful.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know.
I
don't wanna
second
be
it.
Okay. So any other nominations for clerk? There's only 4 of us here. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations for clerk, please.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All those in favor of Scott Martino for clerk, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. All right, so, meeting nights, and this just doesn't require any kind of opening or closing or any of that stuff. We just vote on the meeting nights. So I need a motion that the planning board continue to hold its official meetings on the schedule presented at the beginning of the year, Monday of each month, convening at 7 p.m. in the designated Veterans Hall, Room 6. I need a motion. So moved. Okay, so moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Sounds unanimous. All right, for the signing of plans, I need a motion that the chair, vice chair, and clerk singularly or collectively be authorized to sign plans submitted to the planning board which, as stamped, not subject to subdivision control, and to certify any action of the board.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. All right. Good, so we've got the reorganization out of the way. The next agenda item is site plan modification for Wolves Den LLC, 340 Oak Street, Industrial District A, and the Medical Marijuana Overlay District. So come on up. So the public knows this is not a public hearing. I think the applicant has asked us to consider a minor modification to an existing site plan that has already been approved by this board. I think a lot of work went into this minor modification, so we thank you for that, and we look forward to seeing more about it. Uh-oh. And for the record, let us know who you are and
Sure.
your name.
Good evening. My name is Dana Altabello with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm here with John Poirier of the Wolves Den. Excuse me. This property is located on the southerly side of Oak Street, approximately 600 feet south of the intersection of Church Street. The parcel consists of approximately 8.4 acres and is located within the Industrial A zoning district as well as the Marijuana Overlay District. The existing building shown here is approximately 52,000 square feet and is currently a sports facility. The front part of the site, which I've kind of left off, but contains the existing parking as well as the existing building. The rear area of the site is currently developed with 3 volleyball courts and is generally grass landscape area as well as kind of a wood chip landscape bed around the existing grass area. From the recent 2018 site improvements, these included an additional parking area, which is up in this area, a stormwater management system, which consists of a stormwater management basin as well as some swales and other closed drainage system features. The previous site plan also included an upgraded septic system as well as utility connections throughout the site. As you mentioned, the applicant is here requesting a minor modification to the existing site plan. The proposed project consists of the construction of a new pervious paver patio as well as some pervious paver walkways to the rear, just to access the rear of the building and the side. We're also proposing 3 new pickleball courts in this area, as well as a container bar, which will be located over here. We're also proposing associated site grading for around the proposed pickleball courts, as well as the container bar and the patio itself. The existing limit of clearing will be maintained as it is currently. There are no proposed trees to be removed as part of this project. We have proposed a stone and pipe infiltration system to the west of the proposed pickleball courts. These will ensure that the peak rates of runoff from the site will not be increased by the impervious area associated with the pickleball courts. We have designed the infiltration system to be in compliance with the Mass DEP stormwater regulations for the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm events. And the TSS removal rate for the stone infiltration trench is 80%. There are no proposed changes in use or proposed new uses as part of this project. The existing the pickleball games that are currently happening in the site are just going to be moved outdoors when the weather allows. All these new amenities are just for the benefit of the existing customers in the property. There's no changes or requirements for changes to the existing parking on site. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
So you're not adding to the occupancy?
No, that's correct. It's really just, it's moving the existing uses outside, when it's nice weather.
Just the seating. We're proposing a patio for
Oh,
outdoor
yes.
seating,
Yep,
yes.
I'm sorry,
We're
yeah.
not looking to increase the capacity, it's just people eating outside.
Yeah, so
outside.
people who would be, a nice day, they would bring something outside. Are you going to provide table service outside?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
just right outside the door, that's the pervious patio right next to the building.
Okay. So you are, in fact, adding to your seating, but you still meet the parking requirements?
Yes, well, we're not adding to increase. We've noticed this last year, when it's nice out, there's no one inside.
Gotcha.
So everyone wants to sit outside, so
Okay.
our capacity will stay the same. It'll just be inside and outside, the same capacity.
And you've talked to the fire department and everybody
Yep.
else about that stuff? Okay. Any other questions from the board?
So to get to the pickleball courts, are they walking across the volleyball courts? I'm just
You can get around it.
Yeah, we kind of envision they'll be walking kind of around the pickleball courts. It's relatively flat up here.
Yeah, this is where the patio would be. I'm sorry, here it is here. So this is the parking lot. You would just walk up the side, and you go in there. We have doors that are put in here, glass doors, so you can walk up and then go between the volleyball courts or go around.
Great. Anything else? All right, so we're not at a public hearing, so there is no public comment, and I don't see anyone here to comment, even if there was. So,
You don't
what's,
see all those people up there?
what's the
Am I
pleasure,
the only one?
what's the pleasure of the board?
I don't see any issues with that.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve this as a minor modification to an existing site plan.
So moved?
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Looks good,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Have a great evening.
It's a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
Hopefully it'll pay off.
Yeah,
You guys want to play some volleyball?
yeah. We'll play some pickleball maybe. Or maybe we'll just watch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so next on the agenda is an informal discussion with Henry Meyer and Gary Garfield from Emergent Microgrid regarding 171 Mattakesas Street, Business District A, and the Water Resource and Groundwater Protection Overlay District. Hi.
Hey, folks. Henry Meyer, sorry. Gary is under the weather, and I did not want to drag him down here and get you guys sick, too.
Sounds good.
But I'm here because, whether or not you know it, Pembroke has one of the worst electric circuits in the state. And it was called out by the utility about a year ago, when they called out the 250 worst circuits. What they've done is they released a program where they had asked developers to put small battery systems on these circuits to solve the problem. And I can get into the problem, but where it's going to rear its head is in 5 years, it's going to be very hard for the utility to approve car chargers, to approve new buildings here, to approve anything that's going to be using a lot of electricity. So what I want to do is put a battery that is the size of two 20-foot shipping containers on a fallow piece of this property, currently commercially zoned, but not being used. And I want to plug it in to the wires running over the head, right from the pole top. Not connected to a building, far enough away from everything that it's not going to be a problem. No noise, self-contained, fence around it, scoop, put concrete underneath it. But the goal is to have this battery do two things. It's going to pull power off the wires when the wires are overloaded, and it's going to put power back on the wires when the alternative is to turn on a peaking power plant for an hour. So my goal in coming here today is to note that I've done enough diligence to know that I need to speak with you guys about how this thing should be permitted with you all. There's no standard permit for a battery energy storage system. I can walk through the reports that we've done, showing that it's not in any sort of watershed area, that it'll fit with a lot of the requirements that I could see from online and from research in the town. So the goal of coming here today is to get well ahead of this. And I'll tell you well ahead of it because utilities are not known to move quickly. If you want to build a battery, there's going to be a year-long study before the next year-long study before they give me the piece of paper which says I can plug it into the wires. As soon as they give me that piece of paper, that's when I want to marry it up with the permit from you guys and the construction contracts to get building. It might take 1 to 3 years waiting with the utility, but it'll take 2 months to build because these things are built off-site, they're commissioned, they're approved, and then they're just brought here, dropped, and then you wait a couple months for the utility to come out and flip the switch.
So, is this a public utility usage? Are
It
you a
is
private company providing this?
Private company,
And the public utility contracts with you to provide this?
correct.
Okay, and then you sell them the battery energy or the, as needed? Almost like it's metered?
It is, yeah. It'll have a separate meter from the utility where to fill it up, I'll be buying that power. And when I put the power back on, they'll give me their compensation.
Okay, gotcha.
So shortly down, just a few little, I don't know, half a mile down the street from where you're talking about, the electric company's talking about the substation.
Oh, it's less than a half a mile,
Yeah,
I think.
you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Quarter of a mile maybe. So like, how is that gonna, how would that impact this? Like, are we not gonna benefit from the substation? Like Pembroke being one of the top worst utility infrastructures, are we not improving that?
Yeah, I think when you look at the wait times for a lot of electrical infrastructure right now, like just like Pembroke's fighting for that same gear, like so is Amazon's data center company. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
For what? I'm sorry.
for the same gear that's going to build out that substation enhancement.
Yeah.
Like,
In Pembroke, not in Hanson.
No,
sorry,
he said
yes.
enhancement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So my point was that that the utility may have plans to bolster that substation, but regardless, they have marked this as one of the the circuits on which you can build a battery, and they will put this program in place for anyone who builds one.
Okay, so I think, and
I just thought that was happening soon.
I have no, we haven't heard from them, but why 171 Mattakesett Street?
It was an area that had enough space, it had appropriate drainage already built, it's already being used for boat maintenance and things like that. So to the extent that this is very low profile and just kind of fit what else is there, it seemed like a great spot.
So what we've heard is that National Grid is interested in the property that Heather was talking about, which is not that far away, putting in a substation because of access to the wires, which are right overhead there. Why wouldn't you cite this at at that site when your
Because-
client's going to be National Grid?
They own
Yeah,
the land.
you know, it's funny, I can actually show you a map, I've got it on my computer here, where you can look at exactly the circuits that were called out. It may align with where the substation is going, it may not, but regardless, after that substation is built, these power lines will still have the deficiencies that they have. So this
Well,
is,
no, I understand that. I'm just asking about your particular project. So you've got certain sites that have access to where you would plug it in.
yes.
Okay, and they've already been assigned by National Grid.
Well, our application's in, we are now entering the first of those studies, that'll start in about a month.
Okay. Well, it's certainly good to know about these things well in advance, and we just did add to our bylaws, a public utility is an allowed use. So when we get to allowed uses, what's your use? Your use is energy, right?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'd love to say, you know, we're nestled right up to that utility, so we're kind of a utility use, the utility is very clear that we are private developers and we are entering a program that they have offered to private developers. So there is that distinction, but it's all in service of the same thing.
So how is this, I mean, the only other projects I can think of that would be similar to something like this would be either a cell phone tower or a solar array. Is that what we're looking at as far as, I mean, if we wanted to describe what the
Yeah,
use
but-
was for it?
The funny thing is that, so, as far as cell, you're talking about emissions, whether or not they are bad for people or not. There is something leaving that system and hitting the people around it, right, the waves.
Well, yeah, but
This thing's a self-
they're putting it up to their ear.
Exactly. No, I don't think they're scary, trust me. But the point is that these are very self-contained systems. It's not like a boiler that needs deliveries, right? This is a set it and forget it, and we'll perform maintenance on it a couple times a year, check the filters, things like that. But when it comes to some of the others, I would say they are more likely to annoy someone. Solar, you got glare and you have a much larger footprint. Wi-Fi, you can go online and see people that are worried about 5G emissions. So there will be people that have problems with it, but the entirety of the system might fit in this half the room, right here. You know, it's not very big. Sounds muffled in a container. They're going to be put on a pad, so I like to think that we are overdoing all of the things that can make someone angry, make someone not want this to be built, to NIMBY it, and yeah, I just think these are very, very low profile altogether.
Well, as you know, we'd require a site plan, which would require a public hearing.
Yep.
So,
And I have the preliminaries in here, if you'd like to take a look at what it actually looks like.
it can't hurt to take a look.
Yeah, and the map's gonna be more interesting if you guys want me to bring my computer over there, but yeah, so this is the initial site plan stamped by engineers. This went into the utility, and now they are going to take their time to confirm whether or not I get the rights to interconnect. I think I got a smaller one in here. And just like a Model T, these are gonna be the same everywhere we're doing them.
Now, are you negotiating with the landlord here or the landowner?
The landowner, yep.
Okay.
So it's a little small, but you see what's gonna happen is there are, and I was just taking photos of these today, there's a handful of electric poles that already exist, here, going down the side. I can tap into either this pole or this pole. I'll need a couple pieces of gear. What's in question is whether or not I have to put that gear on the top of a pole or in a box. They're starting to put these things in metal containers. And then right here is our system, just that little box. And that system is enough to solve the issue on this circuit, which there's a whiteboard I can show you all about it, but all it has to do is just limit that peak that happens 0.3% of hours throughout the year. And you need to design the system for resiliency for that peak. Right now, these circuits are getting very, very close to that reserve margin, which is going to put a limit on growth. And when you think about growth, just think about heat pumps and all that gas flipping to electric and what that's going to do. So I think these things are going to be quite common. And I will say this as well, which is this is the first release of the 250 circuits. This is going to happen every couple of years, where they're going to be releasing things that got overbuilt because of population growth, because the roads are so dang good, whatever it might be. So my contention is that there is currently a lot of worry and it's unpermitted and it's new, but given the bulk of the data, these things are going to be happening, and I think that towns need to have a plan in place for how to deal with this thing so that you actually get the benefits of what it does, which is extend your infrastructure a lot faster than the utilities coming to build.
Why aren't the utilities doing this on their own?
Yeah.
Illegal. They can't own their own generation assets.
Okay.
They decoupled the market in the 90s, so, and that's why they draw that line between who's a private and who's not.
Gotcha.
Do we have the utility company coming back in to discuss their plans at any point?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
So you're housing batteries ultimately, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are these being built in other locations across the country? This kind of infrastructure?
Yeah. I think the largest one around here is about 150 megawatt, so that is 30 times larger than mine. And that is in...
You need to get the microphone, please.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so there's a number of these being built. The largest being a 150 megawatt system that's on a cranberry bog. A couple towns away. It'll come back to me in a moment. But my partner Gary, the man with the cough, was actually the gentleman in charge of the geo and environmental and civil engineering for the project. So he's taken some of these far bigger ones. I mean, larger to the extent that they needed to build roads to access parts of this battery system. So they're being built. And most everyone who's tried to build one has gone big for the big ones the size of a whole football field. Mm-hmm. And my contention is that that's not necessarily what the grid needs. The grid needs smaller systems marbled into the communities, not on the transmission lines, but on the distribution lines that are actually servicing homes here. Because those are the ones that when there's a blackout, they'll affect people in the town.
Mm-hmm.
So is this going to provide during power outages? Electricity to people? Is that right? Did you just say that, or did I miss
Blackouts,
that? You said
more so.
blackout, so I'm
Yeah.
that's lack of power.
So I'm way oversimplifying now, and
Yeah,
but
I mean,
the problem with the grid is timing. And right now you've got two things that are unpredictable. You've got a lot of solar that's being built and will continue to do so. And you've also got a lot of wind offshore. And there is no saying when the wind blows, and there's no saying that it will be a sunny day, so it's hard to rely on that power. The battery isn't necessarily providing any resiliency to a single building. Like when there's a blackout, this building will have access to power. But what it's doing is helping smooth some of those peaks across different substations in the whole territory that we're in. And National Grid said, we need so much help that we're going to take this little sliver and just say, hey, if you can perform in this way, we will take everything you have. And they're using that in their own system to say, hey, how do we shuffle power around our wires so that we don't trip blackouts, or worse, overload poles and have fires caused, like they did in California, which is where I was doing this previously.
So, are these lithium-ion batteries?
They are. They're LFP, which is of the chemistries, and there's a million chemistries, and you know, what's a battery, right? The guy who's making the gravity one where he's hoisting up cement, or the people spraying rubber and pressurizing caves in Utah to make batteries. It's very fun science. Oh, and there's a woman who grew one, and there's a TED Talk about it. But these are LFP. They are, let me say this. When I'm thinking about this thing, the most important thing on my mind is honestly like, which batteries are going to ruffle the least amount of feathers? Which ones have the miles behind them, the proof, the track record, are insurable, have lots of things that I'll want to look at to say, these are safe and they're validated by the people who are in charge of assessing the risk. So yes, they're lithium ion. Every system that will be like this is going to be some sort of lithium ion. We're tinkering chemistries, but NMC for the most part, that is not what we are choosing to do, and we are also not choosing to do the chemistry of LG, where LG chemistry batteries are actually at the root cause of most of the American battery fires.
Okay, so you brought that up.
Yeah. Oh, that's the
That
one to
was
talk
my-
about. Yeah.
I was ready to pounce on that.
Okay, two things I think that we would be interested in, and I'm not speaking for the entire board, of course. We'll get to that if in fact you present a site plan. But, I mean, one of the things is that safety issue. And I'm just thinking out loud here. Does your company have any kind of program to maybe help get our public safety folks up to snuff on how to respond to any kind of emergency at something like this?
Yes, indeed. And in fact, we're planning on working with a company called ESRG. They are a bunch of ex-firemen that build the plans for places like Manhattan and for all of these large batteries. So they come in with here's what happens in an emergency, here's how you respond, here are the protocols, and why I'm here so early is to get ahead of those things and say, I would love to come speak to the fire chief. I would love to come speak to your building fire inspector, your police folks, anybody on civil and conservation that might need to hear from me. But when it comes to the risk, I think that the hype cycle around battery fires is, on the news in front of us. The stats don't reflect the same type of worry, right? The actual amount of systems that light on fire is lower on a percentage basis than like.
Well, when it happens, it's
vehicles.
spectacular.
Oh, it's fun, yeah. I shouldn't say
So,
fun, but it's exciting.
and I don't want to go into the odds of a fire or anything else like that. You always have to be ready for it, though. The other issue is technologies change over time. I know with solar, we've asked for a bond for decommissioning in the event that someone abandoned a project and we were left with it and we had to take care of it. So,
You'll get one from me.
okay, so
Yeah.
that's definitely another thing that we look for. All right,
Yeah, we've got the full decommissioning bond to restore the site back to what it was.
okay. Any other questions?
Or we're talking a ways in the future, but I would hope that before this site plan, that this location would close out their existing site plan with their as-built and kind of
Yes.
bring the
I
site
agree.
itself separate from what you're looking to do there, but get the site kind of building permits closed,
Yeah,
as-built, reviewed by this board and approved.
yeah, no, that's a very
and
good point.
Maybe outside storage goods.
Well,
Finished.
he took care of that. He did his ZBA hearing on that.
Okay.
Yeah. He resisted
Okay.
for a long time,
Or
but,
maybe just the rest of the things really, like if we can get the site kind of up to par where it should be
yeah,
with the town.
yeah.
then
We-
maybe,
Well,
like, we'll-
we'd like to see that,
That would be
absolutely.
important, I think.
Before we
before-
consider another site plan on that site, we definitely want to see where they are as to because they've been before us numerous times.
Out of curiosity, is there any major work that needs to be done on that? Like, does he need to tear down a building or move something, or?
He built the
is it-
building.
It felt-
Yeah, he did, right out in the back there.
Yeah.
So given the timeline that I'm on, where we just entered this study from the utility that's going to take 6 to 18 months, boy, I wish their timelines were tighter, but that's the timeline that we're working on just this study. Is it the case that all that
Yeah, he
might
could be
be?
done by then.
It could be done right now, we just haven't been given enough, we haven't been given an as-built, right?
Yeah, I reached out to him the first of the year and asked for it, and hadn't heard anything, and then I reached out to him again today, and still haven't heard anything, but
And he still has money in his engineering account?
he does, yeah.
Enough to cover a review of the as-built?
I believe so. I'd have
Okay.
to look again, but I believe so.
Okay.
I'll reach out to him again in a few days if I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're looking 16 to 18 months out? How long, what was your time frame?
6 to 18.
6 to 18?
I'm aware that I shouldn't expect quick action from the utility. So it is entirely foreseeable that they wrap up this study in 6 months and they wrap up the next study in 3 months. And boy, 9 months from now, I could have an ISA, the Interconnection Services Agreement, the rights to connect to the wires.
Yep.
And from there, I would love to build as soon as possible.
And you think, like, I'm sorry, I'm just need to get past this. So again, they're building a substation down the road from this, and you don't,
That will not affect the
it
deal
will
that
not
they have
affect.
offered me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two
That has no
separate-
impact.
Two
So-
separate things, I
Okay.
presume,
I guess I
correct?
assumed that the substation might fix some of our.
Well, I thought that's what we were gonna talk about tonight, honestly, until I read it, and then I said, this is something very different than we thought.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, let's just look at the pace of change, right? So, like, the entire usage of the United States went up by 25% this year. This year. Things are going to get real messy real fast. And furthermore, have you guys had to put in a high voltage charger in the town yet? Like a high voltage EV charger?
We have some.
Well, there's some EV charges, to be sure.
But the fast ones, I want to draw the distinction. When you have a home charger, 5 kilowatts, so level 1,
Yeah.
your house floats between like 1 kilowatt, and when you shut your fridge and you hear the fan, it might spike to 7. When you have a charger, it's doing 5 for 16 hours to charge your car, right? Those higher voltage DC chargers get up to 150 kilowatts, 400 kilowatts, and now they're making megawatt chargers.
One of the new public safety building, I feel like I remember them saying that it was the higher speed, but I can't remember 100%.
Good on them for getting it done, because the government gave all that money out and none of them got built because there was so much pushback from these things being built. Half the pushback is from communities. The other pushback is from just the wires themselves. To get that type of opening is going to be fewer and further between. And like I say, it's just as much as the utility can say, oh, we're building a substation, it'll solve that. They're going to be playing whack-a-mole for the next 20 years. In that high voltage chargers, buildings growth, data centers are going to really adjust where the power flows in the grid.
Scott
Okay.
hasn't said anything.
Early stages, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen one or heard of one. I think they're going to be necessary.
So now, when you say you're going to fence it in, like, so it's 2 containers basically, and it'll be fenced in. With the fence, are you going to, like, does it have to be right next to it? How large would it be fenced in? Like,
Buffers, 10 feet away from this and from the edge. So yes, it will all be to code and more so to the recommendations of our insurance providers. We'll say things like, yeah, they tell you it can be 10 feet, we want it 15 feet. Great, right? Almost no difference to me because these are so compact and there is such sufficient room that should there be an extra little, couple feet of standoff between the system and the fence, not too much of an issue for me. It's
Well,
not like we're trying to fit this in.
From our perspective, we understand the insurance bit, but from our perspective, we want to protect the abutters as much as we can.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue for us. Because we want every project to be a good neighbor,
Yes.
if you will. So,
I agree with that, yeah. And any suggestions you've got on how to be a better neighbor to the folks that either are abutting this system or
well, in the public hearing process, you will hear from them if they're part of the process.
I think my biggest concern is just how the fencing would look if you can see it from the road and,
I got something better.
is it an
I
eyesore
got something better for you.
for
Yeah.
the public,
Yeah.
Because containers aren't really attractive either. You-
Right, you're talking about two Conex boxes.
If I can put up a wall
20
and
by
do a
8.
mural on it, that would be even better. That's the type of thing I need, where it's like, the system, the deal utility has is great, this thing will handle itself, and if there needs to be other things that are aesthetic or do some other function, I'm all ears. And here's truly what they look like.
So you got 13.
Yeah, so these are the three sizes, and then that's the one that we're doing right here. So that's what it looks like. That's a person beside it for
And
scale.
these are what, switches?
Yeah, there's got to be inverters and GOABs and relays and things like that. But, and again, this is just the 3D visuals of them. We're doing a large, medium, and small. Model T as much as we can, so there's not much nuance between systems. And the only other beautiful thing is that there's only a handful of companies that make the raw batteries, but there's 20 companies that are putting them in a box, and putting their label on them and sending them over. So there's a little bit of redundancy, and if you want to avoid certain companies or do things like that, I'm almost agnostic, because the battery doesn't matter, the inverter matters, which is the piece that actually touches the grid. And we're again using the most common one that National Grid has recommended to us, so.
Okay, good. So, we look forward to getting your application in 6 to 18 months, and we'll talk again when you're ready to start.
Yeah,
The
and,
site
and,
plan
and,
process.
and let me ask as well, does it make sense to include Pembroke in the other towns that I'm working in, and what I want to do with the fire stations in all these? I want to work with the fire departments.
Talk to the chief.
Talk
Do they
to the
have
chief.
integral Ansel systems or
Yeah,
fire
it's-
procession?
Yeah, they have cooling systems on them, and then fire suppression is actually a really interesting thing, because I mean, I think a Formula E car required like 10,000 gallons of water to put out, and from their experience, they realized that that's not the right way to do it. They're either going to have fire suppressant foams and powders, and that would be something to the fire department, or they truly say, let it burn, don't let it spread. It'll be out in not too long, and kind of pick up the pieces that are melted.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
And if you have a double, and I have one.
I do.
Thank you.
I think one of those two. Just for file.
Okay, so, next on the agenda is a discussion and vote on subdivision number 1701 Bristol Estates to return remaining road bond funds of $161,508.79. So I don't think there's much to discuss here. We've had the as-bills looked at. We've had a vote at town meeting to accept the road. They're all done, so they get their road bond money back. So I'll entertain a motion to return the road bond money as stated to the developer.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next on the agenda, possible vote whether to return amount of $1,254.34 in engineering review account for SP-15, 3-15, 590 Washington Street to original applicant. So are these the
This-
condos?
Yes, and this seems to me like an oversight, so, because this has been sitting for quite some time.
Okay, did he make that request in writing to have it?
No, I was gonna talk to you guys first, and then I will ask him to put it in
Okay.
writing. We just spoke about it when he came in.
This is,
And
Is this the-
is
Old,
it
the old Washington?
Old
They
Washington
flipped
Street.
it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they flipped it. Right next to dishes.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Condos?
Actually, I thought
Yes.
it was near Dairy Twist.
Oh,
Is this
no,
Don?
you're right. This
Okay.
is Don McGill's?
Hills?
Yes,
Okay,
Oh.
yes.
all right.
Okay,
Yeah, that's,
sorry, that's where.
yeah, I mean, were you on the board then?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. It's a while ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one
he just
right
happened to
behind
come
there
in.
is like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so I'll entertain a motion that we return the 500 and, how much is it? Oh, $1,254.34. So do I have a motion?
so moved.
Okay, I'll accept that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we can sign the as-built drawings for subdivision number 1701 Bristol Estates. That's all been accepted at town meeting. It doesn't require a vote, but we'll just sign them, all right? Same with 74 and 0 Congress Street.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes
Okay,
from Monday, April 28th, 2025, as presented.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I was trying to help so I didn't have to say so moved again.
Thank you. All right, anything else for the board?
The only thing I have is I just made a few changes to the calendar. July, I originally had us meeting on July 7th. Figured it was too close to the holiday and people took time off, so I moved that to July 14th. And then I changed November and December to only meeting once due to the holidays and so forth, that we were kind of crammed in and only meeting during the holidays, so I just changed that.
And just one meeting in July and August?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
Looks good.
November and December, just once. I mean, if something comes up, I can certainly add another meeting, but sometimes with the Monday holidays, it's kind of tough. I try to schedule it for the 2nd and the 4th of each month. The holidays kind of get in the way,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing.
And I take it that you had to get those grant applications in on the 4th, and that's all done? Because we voted on them at the last meeting?
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
I
Thank
heard
you.
all good things about them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Excellent.
OCPC was very excited about it.
Excellent.
Good.
That's good.
Good.
We'll be even more excited when they say yes.
Exactly. That's all I had.
Okay.
I just need you to sign your life away, but that's it.
Excellent. Anything else? Hearing none, I'll accept the,
Motion to adjourn?
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It was cool. The OCPC